Hi there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brancos Creations and welcome to this live stream today on what is a pretty lovely spring Saturday morning here in Sydney. I hope things are all nice where you are as well. As usual, I'm going to go in and do the little hellos to all the folks who are tuning in at the moment. Hello to Frank S., Frederick Raymer, Enzo Fitzhume, Jack68K. I just banged my transmitter and it probably made a terrible sound, sorry. Teveridden, Jeremy's Vitichility Shack, Pretzel FTW, Charlie Gellar, the Fixer 69, Apples Anonymous. Currently 12 degrees C in Melbourne. That is no good. That is not nice. It is about 17 here at the moment. It was a little chilly last night, I have to say. It was a pretty cold wind. But that often happens, you know, first day of spring. It's going to be a bit warm. I mean, a bit cold. Yeah, hello, welcome to everyone. Anyone who is a new subscriber, please jump into the chat and say hello. I have picked up a few subscribers over the last few days because I released a new video on surface mount soldering. And so if anyone who is watching for the first time who subscribed to that video, thank you very much. And of course, a big hello to anyone who is watching this on the replay and was unable to watch it live. I do apologise. I am having a little bit of an allergic reaction today. I do not know to what. I don't normally get allergic reactions, but my nose is runny. So I am going to try not to be too gross and disgusting and sniffling the whole time. Since I have come down here, it's actually been a little bit better. So whatever I'm reacting to is something in the house. So it was an awesome video. Thank you very much for that. 26C in Western Arkansas. I tell you what, that is 26C is pretty darn nice in my book. We've got a date next Tuesday. I think it's getting up to 28. So we haven't had a 28 since last season. So I'm quite looking forward to that because I do like the warm weather. I know a lot of people don't, but I really do like warm weather. More importantly, I really don't like cold weather. That's kind of the main thing. Jared Burma, hello there. No glaciers yet in my front yard. Okay, 23C in southern Wisconsin. Yeah, that's pretty. That's kind of, you can sort of walk outside in the nude in 23 degrees C, I reckon. Oh, there's a sneeze coming. Away, sneeze, away. I've still got a few things left over on the table here from some of the photos I was taking for that surface mount soldering video, and here's a capacitor that I took a photo of as well. All these things all set up. I've got a couple of things. I'm going to be basically recapping an SE30. There's nothing new in that, and I do apologise, but at the end of the day, the only thing that I've got, which is a little bit out of the ordinary at the moment, is a PowerBook 100, and I have never worked on one, for one. So that side of things is like, do I really want to live stream to the world when I break all the plastic when I open it up? We'll see about that. But the other most important thing is it needs some capacitors that I don't actually have in my kit. I need to order some in. A big thank you to Steve from Mac84 for letting me know which caps I need. He sent me a link. So I'll be ordering those in my next order to DigiKey. I order all my components from DigiKey primarily because, well, the price is really good. But the other is their delivery speed is insanely fast for me. For, you know, when I'm getting stuff from overseas, sometimes I can wait two weeks for stuff. But generally, if I order stuff from DigiKey, I get it in about 4 days. And as long as I spend more than $50, that delivery is free. So that it works out really well. So DigiKey are definitely my supplier of preference. So Jay from the House of Moth is here. Welcome. I only stream for Jay. I only do it for Jay's pleasure. That's the only reason I live stream. He nags me, contacts me, says, when are you streaming? And I go, you know, I'll stream today. So a couple of things I'm going to be using while I'm doing this live stream. I'm going to be testing out this new soldering iron. Those of you who are subscribers to Dave's Vintage Apple Tech may already know about this because he did a review about it recently. I am also going to be reviewing this and I'm going to use it today and just see how it feels, get that feel for it because I have to use it to feel. Mystery Margo, hello. And Colin is here. G'day, Colin. PowerBook 100 would be of interest. I have a couple that need fixing up. Yeah, the big danger I have is that because I've never actually worked on one. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like I don't want to work on something I've never worked on. Of course I do. But it's more just I try and keep the live streams rolling with a fair bit of pace, and if I'm sitting there looking things up on, I don't know, on guides or something like that, it can slow things down. But I probably will work on it, but I do need to get those caps first. So, Ryan Design, hello there. So yeah, this is a Kai Wheats soldering iron. It's called a Kets 02, I think. KETS02. Any Dutch people out there, like Jay? Kets, I'm going to say it a few times. Kets 02. Yeah. So anyhow, this is, and it's for anyone out there who, has a bit of sort of knowledge of the different soldering irons that are out there. It's very similar to that TS100 style of soldering iron. Now the TS100 actually uses like a barrel power connector in the back. This one is a USB-C connector, so this is getting its power from a 65-watt USB-C power supply. But as you can see, all of the workings are inside. I mean, essentially, that is the soldering iron. That is the power supply being connected. So this is the whole thing all in one. It utilizes these mini T12 tips. So this is a standard T12 tip. This is a mini T12 tip. And so in my Hakko soldering iron, it uses the full-size ones, and as you can see, they go into the handle. They go right down there into the handle, and they have these two little bands here, and that's where they get their power from. I'm just going to mute for a second while I sniffle. No one needs to hear that. And so we've got these little mini T12 tips. Now, you can actually put a regular T12 tip in this, but it ends up sticking out so far that it would become quite difficult to manage. You can, but I say this with a fair degree of kind of, like only if you're really desperate, you can sort of swap these when they're hot. You sort of undo them like that. This part I haven't found to get too hot yet. You can then take that off, and then if you can grab this right down the bottom and pull it up, you're likely to get it out without burning your fingers. But we'll see. I haven't really had a chance to get this super hot yet. I already have a few reservations about this, but that will all be in the review when I do it. But I need to give it a fair crack of the whip in order for me to provide a decent review for it. Are they different diameters? You talk about the tips. No, they are exactly the same. In actual fact, they are, all the codes are the same. So this here, there's no code written on it. Okay, imagine there was a code written on it. This is a BC2, I think they call it, which is a small beveled tip, and that's what I use on my main iron here. I think it's BC2. Let me just check. Yeah, BC2. It's a BC2. And this is a BC2 as well. I mean, it is actually referred to as a BC2 tip, but it's just this little mini T12 thing. T12 tips, I cannot recommend them highly enough. If you are going to buy a soldering iron, get one that takes T12 tips. It was a standard created by Hakko, but you don't have to buy a Hakko iron in order to use them. There are lots of sort of other ones out there. There's a link in the description to a KSGER, KSGER soldering iron, which is very inexpensive, and it uses these T12 tips. And what you can do is you can buy the knockoff, sort of iron, and then go out and buy the genuine Hakko tips. Having said that, I don't know that there's that much difference between the genuine and the knockoff tips. But so. The other thing I really like about T12 tips is the heating element is inside the tip, so it's much better heat transfer. They heat up faster, and they're much more efficient at heating as well. Because normally with an iron, a conventional iron, is you have the heating element in the handle, and then you put a little metal tip on top of that, and the heat transfers to that. Whereas the heating element is the tip itself with a T12. So. Right, so that's it. I found out about T12 tips from what's his name, the Rossmann chap, and I originally started off. I bought a knockoff Hakko station, well, not a genuine Hakko, and that was quite good. But then I bought a real Hacko, because there are a few benefits to buying a real one. And then I've also got a KSGER here, because I've got to try them if I'm going to recommend them. And then I've also got a TS100, and then I've got this one now as well. And I'm actually going to be comparing them all when I do the review of this. I'll be checking their temperatures and stuff like that. And while we're on the note of checking temperatures, I've got another product to review as well. Now, I did a thermal camera just recently, and I was comparing that thermal camera to this, which is a Fleur thermal camera that attaches onto a phone. And I have lots of issues with this product, this Fleur product. Now, it's a little bit unfair because this is an older one. They have since replaced this with a newer model. But this is this, thermal camera made by Fleur. Now, I got sent this recently. I'll be honest with you, I got an email from these guys, and they showed me some images of this product, and I thought we were talking about some sort of Kickstarter product that didn't exist. Because as I was reading the specs of this thing, I thought, that's not even possible. Come on, that's not real. So I contacted them, and it is real, and they sent me one. It arrived yesterday. And it's this. It's a thermal camera that connects to the bottom of a phone. They come in both Android and iPhone varieties. I got the iPhone, obviously, because that's what I use. And I have to say that this is extraordinary, and that will all be in my review. I've got a couple of issues with it, and some of them are software related, and I expect that they have things that can probably be refined in the future. But I can basically just connect this to the bottom of the phone. I can launch this software called Thermal P2. There's a reflection of myself in there. Look at that. Ooh, hello. There we go. And then we're away. That's thermal camera. There's me in thermal. Bah, bah. And the refresh rate on it is extraordinary. It is, clear. You can take videos. You can take stills. You can change the palette. So if we want to get into the old... Does anyone know what I'm referring to there? People should know. There we go. So, anyhow, review coming soon. So look out for it. But at this stage, this thing has really impressed me. It's a very different animal to the last one that I reviewed, which is the Vivor, which actually has the screen built into it, and it's in that, trigger sort of pack sort of thing, and it's in a strong, rugged case. And this thing here says, you've got to be really gentle with the thing. So this isn't something you take out on a work site or something like that. The Vivor one that I have, the all-in-one unit, that it definitely has a purpose. You aren't really talking about one replacing the other. But, this in terms of like the sort of electronic style work that I do is quite amazing. It even comes with a little macro lens that you can magnet onto the front, which will then allow you to get really close up if we're wanting to look at very small components and if they're potentially getting hot. So very, very impressed with that. This is an InfiRay P2 Pro, I believe it's called. InfiRay P2 Pro. Review coming soon. Pretty amazing stuff. Very impressed. So, sorry about the sniffle. All right, I'm going to just mute myself again and do a proper sniffle. It's pronounced like Fleur. I am going to be just saying Fleur however I want because I'm an Australian. And we just pronounce things however we want. So even if we want to say hello, we go, hello. Hello. Right. What am I working on today? An SE30. Because I have a massive pile of SE30s to work on. Thanks to Max, who sent me a stack of SE30s to repair. I don't know if it's his retirement plan or something like that. He's going to have all these SE30s. But anyhow, here it is, SE30. It is one of the older sort. It has the socketed chip here. You can see it's got that ceramic, and it's socketed, and it's gold. And so this is the earlier revision of the board. Okay, so Cam Wind, hello there. Does the phone battery take a big hit? Not in my immediate observations, okay? Now, I will be doing proper testing of that for the review, and what I'll be doing is I'll get the phone just with the device attached, doing nothing. See how long see if the battery takes. So first of all, I'll start off with a control. I'll just have the phone sitting there doing nothing, starting at 100%, and leave it for 2 hours or something like that, and see where the battery gets down to. Then I'll charge it back up again, and then I will connect the device and not use it, and see if it takes a hit just being plugged in. And then I'll charge it up, and I'll run it with the software open, the app open, and see how long it lasts. And then I will also run a test with the phone open, just with the normal Photos app, the normal camera app. Sorry, because if you've got it plugged in, it's showing the screen and showing what's on there. It's not a fair comparison to compare it to a phone that's doing nothing. If you want to compare it to a phone that's actually using a camera. So I'll do that, and I'll run all those comparisons together, and we'll see how badly the phone takes a hit from the battery. This thing here has its own battery in it, as I like to call it, the hummingbird battery, because it is so small that I get virtually no time out of this. And it's really, really frustrating when I go to use it and I pull it out and I plug it into the phone and it's flat. I much prefer the idea of the device taking the power from the phone itself, because my phone's always charged. Well, always got a fair bit of charge in it. Okay, so I'm just going to jump across here to the top view camera. Oh, that's a bit zoomed in, isn't it? Let's zoom out a smidge. Yeah. There we go. That's a bit better. Let me see a little bit more. There we go. See my mess. Okay, so here is it's not mine. Here is an SE30, and we're going to just get this ready for recapping, taking all the bits off. Sometimes these little battery covers are a little stubborn to get off. There we go. What can I tell you? On this particular revision of board, there is a capacitor here. If you get the later revision of the board with the chip soldered directly to the board, that capacitor is on this side. There's also some funkiness that goes on here depending on how old it is. If you've got a really old one, you might even have a little blue bodge wire running through here. The later ones, they don't have a blue bodge wire, but there's a very, very clear spot on there where they've altered where a trace used to be. And I'll show you in the microscope later on. Is there anyone here who's turned up and I haven't said hello to? If I haven't, I've been pretty lax with the chat today. I'll improve. I will better myself. Now I think I started pulling this one apart the other day. I'm not sure. Really like the bar sign. Where's the bar sign? Oh yeah, there it is. Thank you. Hello. I do apologise for my runny nose today. I've had some sort of allergic reaction to something. I have had an antihistamine, and hopefully it will sort of clear me up fairly soon. But at the moment, I sound awful. It's really funny because I did that surface mount soldering video recently. I filmed all the intro and the outro because I hate doing the intros and outros. They're always the parts that piss me off the most. And so I filmed the intro and outro, got that all done, and the PCB way ad, filmed that. Then started doing all the demos and stuff like that, and the voiceovers of the demos. And I ended up getting this issue with my eye, and my eye ended up getting all puffy. And I was like, I'm so glad I recorded the intro and outro because I couldn't record it while my eye looked like that. I'd end up with people sending me messages going, "What's wrong with you, man?" Derek Witt, hello there. Any caps or Vata vomiting on motherboards tonight? Not tonight. Well, that's not actually entirely true. I have one here with Vata vomit on it, but I have basically said to the owner that it's not worth fixing because, it's they're the kind of labour of love type things, I mean, I could spend 8+ hours on it, and if I'm going to charge a reasonable amount of money per hour for my skills and equipment and all that sort of stuff, it's going to end up with the thing being insanely expensive. So that was my, recommendation. Is like, I just don't think it's worth that much. I think you'd end up paying more for me to repair the board than you buying another SE30. Sorry, just muting every now and again to sniffle. I just don't want everyone else to have to hear that. Okay, now this is really interesting. See this RAM here? It's not actually that interesting. I suspect that this is 256K, even though they look like 1 megabyte sims. And the reason why I say that is because the speed of the chip is 120, and typically once they're 1 megabyte, they're 100 or faster. So when they're slow 120s like that, I think it's more likely that these are, what's 256 divided by 8? Anyone? 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 I'm not even thinking about it, by the way. I'm not even using my brain at the moment, so I mean that most sincerely. 32, there you go. So they're probably 32K chips, I would think. I'm going to be able to look it up with the code TMS 4C1024DJ. So what's 1024? And that's usually in 1 bit. So you'd 1024 divided by 8, then divided by 8 again. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm just making stuff up as I go along. Okay, I'm putting these all into a little baggie so that they don't get lost. I know they all belong to this computer. I normally write down the job number on this, but I'm not sure that I've logged this one in yet. I've taken photos of it, so there's a record of it in the system, but I don't think it's been properly recorded in the system, which is naughty. Naughty! Watch SMD video last night with some headphones on, and the mic that you are using now sounded a little scratchy or minor muffly. Yeah, so what the problem is, it's not the microphone that's doing it, it's my wireless receiver. Just recently, it started creating a whole stack of background noise. And so I had to slap on a, a noise gate onto that audio so that it didn't have all the hum in the background. And the end result is not brilliant on headphones. I know that because I've listened to it on headphones. But that's what's happened. Now, I need to investigate why this is happening, because it does. I mean, even if I use the heads, because the little wireless transmitter has its own microphone. Even if I use it with the transmitter's built-in microphone, I'm getting this. Even if I have no microphones connected, I'm still getting this little background hum. So I'm going to actually have to get on to Rode Technical Support and find out. And look, these transmitters are not new. I've had them for a very long time, so they might just be getting to end of life. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, so I am aware of the issue. I do, Nick. Thanks for pointing it out, but I'm looking to resolve it. 102, 16. Now that doesn't make sense. So rather infamous battery manufacturer whose batteries. Yes. So just sort of following up with what Derek Witt said there. Varta still make batteries. They're actually still in production, but during the time of these little, what they refer to as half AA, they've got another code for them as well, but I can't remember what it is. Half AA batteries, 3.6 volt lithium battery. There were a whole series of manufacturers of them, and some had a greater propensity to leak when they got older than others. For example, if you have a Macintosh SE, or even probably an original Mac 2 that has the soldered on black Varta battery, probably no leakage. Take them off anyway, don't leave them there, don't risk it. But probably no leakage from that particular Varta battery. They weren't really an issue. But then later on, when they had the little removable batteries that would go into this little socket here, there were some that were much more likely to explode when they got old than others. Maxell was another one. The Maxell ones, those little red Maxell ones, they leak all the time. So that's obviously the whole thing of these things getting destroyed by Varta batteries. These caps look really good, This is an old computer, but they look really good, to the nude eye anyway. So, here's my little soldering iron. I'm going to just twiddle that around there. I'd like to have a twiddle. Okay, so switching it on. I'm going to press the button to switch it on. Beep. I've got this set to 420 degrees Celsius. This is it heating up at the moment. It's kind of funny the way it works here. It shows you the numbers and it shows you how much power it's using to heat. So this is using 32% of the thing's power to heat it. It's using 20 volts at the moment. And so there we go. Now, okay, so it settles now. It's jiggling around a little bit. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. And then that'll eventually just settle on 420. And then this will then dip down to like 10% or something like that. You can't really see that. Maxwell tape's better than the batteries, yep. I sell the Saft and Tadiran batteries now. Yeah, the ones that I get are always the same brand. There's a guy that sells them a couple of suburbs away from me. He runs a little battery reselling place out of his garage. You can jump onto eBay and just buy all sorts of batteries from the guy. He sells, you know those little flat polymer batteries. I think they're polymer. The little flat ones that you find in remote control cars and stuff like that. You find in all sorts of things, and they come in different shapes and sizes. The codes that describe them actually describe their width and length and width. Right, now I just realised that I don't actually need a soldering iron at this station. I need a hot air station, so I put it away. Let's get some little heat shields, and we get a couple of little springs. This is my little trick that I developed of getting little blades like this, putting a spring on it like that, and then resting it on the board. I will also get some Captain heat tape, heat resistant tape, and I shall wrap that around this guy. Does that iron have a boost button? Not that I'm aware of. So at the moment it's sitting on 420 and it's using 12% of power to keep it hot. But we cannot just take it as read that what this says here is the temperature that it is. We just can't do that. It's just not good. So when I do my review, I'll actually be using a thermal camera to show how hot it is really getting. And that will be very telling. I know that everyone's excited to see that. Right, so I've got my little things with my things. And we're going to whip off these 3 capacitors right here. 1, 2, 3. Whoopsie. Turn on the hot air station. Whoopsie. And then, of course, let's get a little bit of a microscopy. There we go. Look at that. Nice and sharp. That's not, though. There we go. That's better. Okay. Okay. There we go. So let's apply some hot air. I'll get some tweezers to get these off. I reckon these are going to pop. Oh, they smell. The really smelly ones often don't pop because it usually means the seal is gone. So, so there's no build-up of pressure inside. Because as the pressure builds up, it just comes out the leak. When they don't smell that much, that's the ones that are more likely to go and pop on you because the seal's still intact. Hey, that one seal's still intact. That was a minor pop on that one as well. Here we go. Oops, that's not gonna work. Followed my Quadra 700 and filmed it, and I'll be releasing a video tonight. Good on you, Nick. I look forward to seeing that. Dana is here. Hello there, Dana. Oh dear, runny nose. Sorry about that, folks. I do apologise. It is an allergy thing. I saw JP opening week. What is JP opening week? Can someone fill me in on that? Jurassic Park. Okay, apples and oranges. I saw a car with a Jurassic Park magnet on the side. That's cool. I love Jurassic Park, by the way. What's happening with the... Oh, I know what's going on here. Sorry. We want that one, and then we want that one gone. There we go. I actually saw Jurassic Park in the cinema. I think it was 3 times. I was so impressed by it. And a really interesting thing about Jurassic Park, the thing that I think the thing that people forget, in particular with modern movies, because I've got a lot of bad stuff to say about a lot of movies that are getting released these days. Jurassic Park, if you're ever feeling inclined, is an absolutely riveting book. I mean, like, once you pick it up, you can't put it down. And when you start a film with a riveting story, and then you use effects to help tell the story, you're going to end up with a good film. If you put the cart before the horse and say, hey, let's have some effects and build a story around it, you're not going to end up with much of a film. But I love Jurassic Park. It's a great film. I can sit down and watch Jurassic Park anytime. Just plonk me down and I'll start watching it. It's a Unix system. I know this. Wasn't a Unix system, of course. We all know that. 30th anniversary today. Crikey. Isn't that amazing? 30 years. Groundbreaking stuff. I mean, it changed the world in terms of special effects. That film and, of course, the stuff that James Cameron did in, first of all, The Abyss with the water creature. And then, of course, with the metallic man in Terminator 2. These are just, groundbreaking effects films. I have a lot of interest in special effects. Reed Reinfeld, hello there. Welcome to the live stream. Paul Biley. Have I said that right? I hope I said that right. Late to the class again. Doesn't matter. I'm teaching the same stuff every time. So, and I've got a runny nose, so I apologise. Oh, what's going on with my mouse? Okay, now, it was released on the 2nd of September in Australia. How did I not know that? It's my favourite movie, and it's my birthday too. Goodness me. So does that mean it's your birthday today, Mystery Margot? Happy birthday. We are recapping an SE30 today, Xenoside 21. It is... it's another SE30. I've got 4 of them here at the moment, so it's what I'm going to be working on for the next little while. I've got other stuff that I've got to do diagnostics work on, but I often don't do that on live streams, mainly because when I'm doing diagnostic work, I go quiet. And maybe for some people that's a good thing, but, I feel like for a live stream, I need to kind of keep chatting, keep the vibe. Got to keep the vibe going. Right, we've got a... electrolytic capacitor here, which I am going to vacate from the board, even though these ones probably still work perfectly, still test in spec, but we still remove them anyway because they brought them here to be recapped, and that's a cap, so it needs to be read. Off she comes. Right, let's get some more caps off this board. Up above this cap, or below, depending on which way around I would have the board. Today I've got it, what I would consider having the board upside down. We've got this little row of capacitors here. I think these are what, SOIC chips, I suspect. But anyhow, there's a whole row of them here, and it's a really common area of failure on the SE30. Off she comes. Very crusty, this one, isn't it? It's definitely going to benefit from a good ultrasonic clean. Look how crusty that is. Crusty. Okay, I wonder if I can get this out with a bit of hot air. Yay. Yeah. Too easy. The truck in the T-Rex scene when it was flipped over was fully CGI. You'd watch diagnostic videos as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of... You know what? One of the bizarrest things that happens, I actually think it impacts on my diagnostic ability, because what often happens is I'll be sitting here doing a live stream, doing diagnostic stuff and getting nowhere. I switch the stream off, and then I have it fixed like 5 minutes later. I just think, probably it just distracts me enough that I don't do the thinking, or it could also be that I'm doing all the thinking, forming the ideas, and then the idea happens just a little bit too late. This is you see all of these solder balls appearing here. This is something you always need to be very careful of if you are deciding to do your own recapping, because all this stray heat, it heats all of these areas of solder, but they have a big crust on the outside, and that crust doesn't melt, it stays solid, but the solder underneath the crust, it melts, and it starts squeezing through the crust, and it just makes loads and loads of these little solder balls. And that's why it's so important to clean these things so thoroughly afterwards, because you get one of those little solder balls in the wrong place, and you'll be in a world of hurt. Yes, I know how they get the effect of the water in the cups on the dashboard. I've watched the doco. I love watching movie-making documentaries. What was that guy's name who came up with it? Michael Lantieri, I think his name is. Something like that. He was the physical effects guy, because you obviously have CGI people, but you need to then interact with, you have to have the physical effects people so that, if you have a dinosaur that goes and pushes something out of the way, you have to find a way of making that thing move out of the way without anything actually touching it. So that then the CGI is going, it sells the CGI. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So, SE30. Working on that right now. I would like people who know about the vintage computer stuff. Of course, if you don't know about it, then this would be a difficult thing to answer. But I would like people's opinion in the chat to tell me why they think the SE30 has become so desirable and so popular. I'd just be interested in what people think, what their idea about why and that. Can the crust be removed first to avoid the solder balls? Look, you could probably get rid of a lot of the crust with a good ultrasonic clean before doing it. I tend not to do that because I'm going to clean it afterwards when I get all the flux off it, and I sort of prefer not to put them through too many ultrasonic cleans, because it can cause some unwanted erosion if they spend up too much time in there. So yeah, you could probably get a fair bit of the crust off if you ultrasonicked it first. Now I'm going to try and build myself a little thing here, a little shield of some description, not like a Captain America type shield, but like a heat shield of something to protect all the plastic around here. I am going to a Malaysian food festival-y type thing tonight. I am really looking forward to it because I bloody love Malaysian food. Yum, 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 yum. Let's see if this is going to work. Come on. Come off. There you go. Thank you, you poo-poo head. Yep, I came off without melting anything. So it sort of worked. Ow! Ouchie. As I keep saying to people over and over again, I very rarely burn myself on soldering irons, but I burn myself on things that get made hot by hot air stations or soldering irons. So I burn myself on tweezers, I burn myself on heat shields, I burn myself on solder wick. I burn myself on capacitors, but I generally just don't burn myself on the devices that make the heat. Okay, so let's go and have a look. I'm going to scroll up and have a look at these answers that people have said about the SE30. William D, hello there. Okay, so last night case before the classic cases came in. Okay. First idea is it was commonly in schools everywhere, so the nostalgia and comfort it will provide is seductive. Well, um, uh, Johnny Death. The SE30 I don't think was in schools much. The things like the classics were, but the SE30 was a very expensive machine. Top of my head, they were $5,000, $6,000, possibly more to buy brand new at the time. They were much more likely to be used by professionals. Certainly the classics were definitely used in schools. There's no doubt about that. And probably SEs before that too. But the classic was the one that was marketed at schools because you could actually buy a Mac Classic for under $1,000. $1 under $1,000, but it was still under $1,000. Unique model supporting up to 128 megabytes of RAM, which was unheard of back in 1989 in a compact model with an 030 at 16 megahertz. I reckon the original Star Wars was amazing for its time. That's got nothing to do with SE30. It was. Each frame of the Millennium Falcon was hand rotoscoped with 34 layers. Well, did you know that the Millennium Falcon was nearly a completely different shape? At the very, very opening of Star Wars, the ship that Leia is on, that gets captured by the Empire, that was supposed to be the Millennium Falcon, and that model was done in incredible detail because it was going to be the main ship of the whole thing. Then they changed their mind at the end and decided that they were going to make a different Millennium Falcon design, so that one then just got relegated to being that ship at the beginning of the movie. So there you go. Okay, SE30 just looks cool and it's so fast compared with the Plus SE Classic. And the expansion slot, I mean, what's not to love? Agree with you there, Ryan, totally. I was selling SE30s in the late 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of them. A customer came back time after time to buy more, and I ran out. He was upset. Can we have microscope view again, please? Yes. Yeah, well, except I wasn't actually using the microscope for that last cap, but you will when I start doing cleaning. I do have the front panels on S30, but that's all. Front panel, but that's all. You need a few more bits there, Jeremy. I've stepped on a soldering iron in my bare feet more than once. I've only done it once, but I tell you what, it was enough to make me never do it again. And it really, oh man, I mentioned this in the last live stream. I stepped on. If you imagine that this is my soldering iron. Imagine that's the soldering iron, right? It's not. This is solder paste, but imagine that's a soldering iron, and imagine that's my foot, and imagine that's sort of like where my toes are. So imagine they're my toes, and that's my foot. And I stepped in it and went right up underneath, in between the toes like that, and it just burned right, a little arc underneath my toes. Very painful, very painful. But I was very young at the time, so so resilient. I had color classics in it. Wow, that's amazing. More common in schools from my experience. It depends on the era, I suppose, Jeremy. I mean, I definitely saw classics. I know there were loads of classics. My dad was a teacher, and there were loads of classics at his school. That's for sure. Steve is here. Hello, Steve. What time do you call this? Huh? I've been going for 45 minutes. He's going to have some sort of excuse, like he was eating dinner or something like that. And look, I noticed that Jay turned up and then disappeared. See, I bet you Jay's not even watching anymore. He just turned up so it looked like he was here and then took off. Watching SMD work has me confident I can etch my own PCB and install microcontroller for digital music effect system. That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. Good to do those sorts of projects. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Okay, so Steve had 2 live streams in the past couple of days where he was working on a PowerBook 100, and you really should check out the last couple of hours of the last one. At that point where he thought he was finished, but then the old brightness wasn't working. That was quite something else. All right. Let's get some Flux on here. So I have been speaking to the Amtech people again just recently, just finding out what's going on. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say, but I do know that there is an open legal case at the moment between the 2 companies claiming to be Amtech. The name Amtech itself I don't think it's got a proper copyright in the US. So there's sort of some silliness going on with that at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't like to hear about that sort of stuff going on. But I have spoken to these guys, and yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to hear more, but I'm hoping to do a follow-up video at some stage to maybe talk about what's going on with them. If you buy your Flux from Amazon, you will still be getting it from these guys. They're Amtech Direct. The other company is a company called Inventec. Inventec have reached out to me a couple of times, but then they don't reply to me. So I've got an email from them a couple of times, and each time I've replied and said, yeah, cool, I'm glad to hear that. Can you please tell me about this and that? And then they never reply to me. So they're clearly not particularly interested in starting any sort of communication with me at all. They just want to tell me stuff, tell me what they want to tell me. They don't want to tell me what I want to know. Alrighty then. Eddie Expo. Sorry I'm late. What's the soldering iron you're using? Well, today I'm actually test driving a new one, which I don't normally do. But what I normally use is a Hakko FX951. Now, if you're looking for a soldering iron and you're on a budget, in the description you will find a link to a cheaper alternative. It's a KSGER. And it uses the same soldering iron tips as the Hakko, and that counts for a lot, I can tell you. So I'm just going to send a text to my wife. Here we go. I'm better. There we go. Gotta send the text to the wife. Does Amtech make any kind of flux that would cure your sniffles? Oh, I wish they would. Maybe the smoke coming off this flux will cure my sniffles. Sorry about the sniffles, folks. I know it's revolting. Yeah, I'm going to mute and do a big sniffle. It's very unpleasant. I woke up this morning and I'm like, yeah, I'm streaming today, yeah. And then as the morning wore on and I'm just sneezing and sniffling, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be really unpleasant for the viewers. But there's not much I can do about it, really. Okay, so this is the iron that I'm testing at the moment. At the moment, it seems to be fine. It's heating. It's doing its thing. So, ooh, smelly. There's a pine scent. Nasal streaming. Yes, a fair bit of that today. Chip Quick. So, there is one Chip Quick flux that I like, that I've tried. There's only one. It's bloody expensive for me to buy out here. But I do like it. I'm not even sure if I still have it here, but there's one particular Chip Quick. Yeah, this is it. This is it here. I might actually use this next. So this is... change camera. This is the one. Oh, we'll put it there, eh? Oh, wow, look at that. It's a freeze frame. It's kind of... Oh, wow. Jeez, what happened there? Oh, I lost my microscope camera. That's what happened. It's because I bumped the USB. Okay, so SMD4300TF10. I have used this, and I'll use it again in a minute. I really like this stuff, but it's bloody expensive for me to buy here in Australia. So, just putting it out there. There we go. Right, so let's see if we can get our microscope back, shall we? And I'm going to have to do the white balance. White balance. White balance. I swear. I swear. Same formula but larger syringe. Yep, cool. Can I ask a completely unrelated question? Of course. With the Telstra network terminating device that is mounted on the wall, with the Telstra network terminating device that is mounted on the wall, is that actually the modem and the smart modem actually a router? Are you talking about with sort of fiber to the premises NBN? So it's actually it's technically, I think, two modems, because you can get an internet connection straight out of that main box on the wall, the NBN box, if that's the one you're talking about. So, because the bot, well, certainly where it is. I've had NBN here in this location for over 10 years now. And so I may not have the same thing that other people have. But I've got fibre to the premises, and the box on the wall that the fibre plugs into is actually an NBN box. It's not a Telstra box. It's owned by NBN. And that, you can technically just plug a computer into that. But then that signal then feeds into a Telstra modem. And which also serves as a router too. My internet's dying here, going to do non-network things. That's terrible. That's awful news. But thank you for joining anyway, Dana. Enjoy your non-network things. Okay, cool. Jeremy is here. Hello, Jeremy. There's a dinosaur. Is that a dinosaur? Can't really see. All right, let's get back to the microscope view, shall we? Because that's what we're all about here. So I have. Is this gone off? No, this is. I've got to fiddle with the settings on this for when it goes to sleep, because this has an auto power off. This soldering iron. Righty. So this is a little bit bulkier than the iron that I use because everything is all in the handle, except for the power supply. Whereas with my Hacko, the handle is very, very light. But it's handling this well in terms of the heat, and it's keeping that wick nice and what's the word? Melted. The danger if you don't have enough heat with solder wick is that the solder wick will dry while you're in the middle of using it, or solidify. And then you move it around and you actually yank off a pad. Got a few little ugly sort of traces around here. Wouldn't mind cleaning some of this black stuff off. That's some oxidization or oxidation, depending on which part of the world you are. We say oxidization here. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Boop boop. There we go. Some ugliness around here too, so I might just clean this up. We'll put some solder on here. And all these traces I'm sure are intact, but where I see a bit of black, which means that some air has got in and the copper is starting to corrode underneath, I like to try and clean that black stuff off. Get some solder on there, get it tinned, and then it's going to last longer. Okay. Sorry, just read a bad joke. Here we go. Grooty. Better than Grooty, he uses 2 squirrels. Sorry, I've just got to go up and see Steve's comment here. 2 squirrels and FM radio for internet. Yeah, so Grooty is Greg Ritke from Ritke Mods. He's called Grooty because when they used to play online games, when the... What's going on? Why is it frozen? Frozen in time. I assume it's frozen for you guys as well. Yeah. It's this bloody cable. Bloody cable. When they used to play online games, what do you call it? Like a computer used to do voice, text to speech type thing, and when it used to try and pronounce Greg Ritke, it used to say Grooty. So for anyone out there who doesn't know who Greg Ritke is, let's say he's got a channel called Ritke Mods, and well, he's back. That's a little bit of a running joke within our group because he would disappear for ages and then he would come back and say, "I'm back," and he might do one video and then he'd disappear again, and then whoopsie, and then he'd come back a few months later and say, "I'm back," and so the whole "I'm back" thing became a little bit of a joke. But he apparently is back now. He's done quite a few videos. I've watched some of them, but the issue that I have ultimately is that far out. I am really having some trouble. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disconnect it at the other end. If worst comes to the worst, I can probably come out of the HDMI socket, but I might have to sacrifice one of the other cameras. It's a mini HDMI socket. When is the next Mac-Yak? We might do one with the next Apple announcement, but only if they announce something interesting. If they don't, we won't bother. So let me think. We've got a. Look, I think it's the plug. To be honest, because maybe I should just replace the connector. Sorry about all the technical glitches, folks. It's my own fault because I recently cleaned this microscope, and I think removing it and then putting it back really rogered it. Oh wow! Hello. Might give this cable a bit of a bend, though. It really does feel like it's the actual plug connection here. Okay. You got it? Alright. Well, let's just hope, okay? I will rectify this before the next live stream. I'll find a more permanent solution at the moment. I may even end up permanently wiring a cable coming at it rather than using the plug, because the plug gives me nothing but grief. Nothing but grief. Alright, so we did that. And that's right, I was right in the middle of tinning the copper that I exposed. I should actually warn people, by the way, I have got a very, very strict time requirement today. I am meeting someone for lunch, and as a result, I need to finish my live stream at 1. I cannot be any later than 1. So for those looking up at the little local time up there, it means I have 1 hour from now. And then I go, I've got to skedaddle. Alright, so I'm now going to try it. Let's not use solder paste. That could be a bit funny. I'm going to try this, use this Chip Quick. I do like this Chip Quick. One of the things I like about it is that I probably shouldn't use it for cleaning. Oh, jeez. I like it's not too opaque. I can sort of still see through it. Time for another sniffle. There we go. People, if you get to the end of this and you're thinking, oh no, the stream's ended too early, jump on and watch Steve's stream from yesterday. That's a long one. It went for, I think, 5+ hours, something like that. As I say, it's the stuff at the end that you really need to enjoy. The stuff to do with the brightness knob. And just watching Steve's soul slowly get destroyed. No, I'm just joking, of course. But the most important thing is it all got fixed. At the end of it, all got fixed. And he was able to hand the working PowerBook back to its owner today. I won't say who the owner was. Another fancy schmancy YouTuber like Steve. Her brain stopped working 3 hours. I see red, I see red, I see red. When my baby's walking down the street. Love that song. Love that song. I've got a lot of smoke going up my nose at the moment. I don't know if it's good or bad for my runny nose, but I will turn my fume extractor on, because we're all about safety here, or at least we want to make it look like we are. So just to recap, anyone who might have just joined recently, I am actually using a different soldering iron today. I'm giving the Kaiweets Kets 02 soldering iron a run, and I will be doing a review on this soldering iron once I've finished using it, to say what I think about it. And certainly for what I'm doing at the moment, no issue. Got to sneeze. Don't sneeze. Obsidian Xenon, hello. When you melt the solder on the capacitor pads, are you lightly or heavily pressing down with your soldering iron? Pretty lightly. There is contact there. I am touching it. I am gently rubbing, almost like as if I was, I don't know, sanding it down or something like that. I am sort of, and yeah, so I am actually rubbing it gently. But you kind of have to get a feel for how much pressure you can give. Because here's the thing, these pads, this copper, like these copper pads that are on here, they're kind of stuck on with an adhesive, and that adhesive gets tacky when it gets hot. So if you're applying a lot of heat to this with the soldering iron and then you start pushing down, you can just lift the pad, they just slide right off the adhesive. And that's sort of, you just get a feel for what your breaking point is. So it's just sort of a bit of practice. Yeah, that's goop. Got to get the goop off this. Kaiweets KM601 smart digital multimeter. Whoops. Links in the description if anyone wants to buy one. Probably won't need a multimeter for this, but yeah. Come on. Come out, you stupid thing. With your thing and your stuff. There we go. More! Oh, bugger, I'm going to have to fill this thing up. I don't like having to fill this thing up, because it takes me away from working. Isopropyl alcohol. Got a couple of review videos on the way, 3 in the works at the moment. One review is for this soldering iron that I'm using right now. The other is for a thermal camera, which I got sent yesterday, which has, quite frankly, up until this point, blown me away. I am just amazed. And then the other one is a 3D printer, a Creality K1. It's been a bit of a delay with that one, but that's I'll be sort of getting going with production on that one again soon. Oh, I've got another microscope as well, but I've had some problems with that, and I need to actually address those problems. I've kind of just put it to one side because of how busy I've been lately, but I do need to actually get in and get that rolling. Sniffles. Sniffles are awful. Don't like sniffles. And I keep feeling like I need to sneeze constantly. It's very unpleasant. Bet you're glad I muted that. Oh dear. Okay, so let's continue. Let's get some solder. I'm going to add some solder onto my iron here. And I'm going to get this wick and just sort of coat all this exposed copper. Copper! Yes, I hate the lingering need to sneeze. I had lots of sneezes this morning, and then since then I've just I've reached this point of like almost sneeze. Very unpleasant. I'm on a friggin' diet at the moment. It sucks. When weekend comes along, I normally have very indulgent foods. Now, I'm having indulgent foods tonight because I am going to a food festival thing. But for the other meals, I'm heading to the shops later on, and normally I'd go there and go, oh, I'll get a burger while I'm there. It's like, oh, crap, I can't have a burger. Drop a few extra kilos. Yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've got... I invested so much time in that latest video that I did, the the surface mount. This is why I haven't streamed during all that time. This is the first stream I've done in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks or something. Yeah, I've got, my day job as well. That's been busy. What's going on? Solder. There we go. That flux seemed to disappear very quickly that time. To know. Have you tried using your desoldering gun on your nose? I don't think it has a low enough heat setting. It's just the thing about it is it's just really poor timing. I didn't have a runny nose yesterday at all. And then the day it's like, yeah, today I can live stream. Oh, great. I'm all snotty. That's awesome. How pleasant for the viewers to sit there and listen to my nose. At least I'm not having to do like voiceovers and stuff like that. I sound all locked up when I'm doing a voiceover. Come on. I need some heat. Come on, Kai Wheats, give me your heat. Come on. Alright, let's compare it to the other one. See if the other one's going to do better. Turn up the speed on your extraction fan. No. It's too noisy. I've got that song in my head now. I See Red by Split Enz. Alright. Yeah, well, this one's struggling as well. So we're not going to say anything bad about Kai Wheats. T12 tip, indeed. Whoopsie. This is a T12BC2 that I'm using. It is my tip of choice. Come on. You munchkin. Switch over. See if I can get it from the other side. There it is. Yeah, see, this is why I'm having so much trouble. Look at that ground plane. Yeah, that's sucking it up. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, look at that. You're going to have to do a little bit of cleaning of that trace next to it as well. Don't you think? It's in bad shape. Classic line in a Marx Brothers movie. I can't remember which one it was. But Chico was playing a song on the piano and the song just kept on looping around and around and around. And while he's playing it, he's like, I can't think of the finish. And then Groucho says, it's funny, I can't think of anything else. Got to head off now. We'll watch on the playback. Well, thank you for joining. Obsidian Xenon, farewell. Animal crackers. Well done, Joe. I actually love that sequence, the piano sequence in that one. What's his name? Chico plays an amazing piece on the piano in that part of the movie. There we go. Hole through, yay! Right, so I've cleaned up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2 more to do if my maths is any good. Flux. Does anyone know? Is anyone here old enough to know the song "Pac-Man Fever" by? Oh man, who was it by? It was a really weird name. I think it was like two people's name or something like that. If there is anyone here that is old enough to remember that song, please jump into the chat and say, yeah. Yes, I would agree with you there, Nick. I think I love watching the Marx Brothers. I absolutely love them. Heard it on vinyl in the 90s. Yes, my friend had the single of Pac-Man Fever. Does anyone remember the name of the band? Yes, he's got the 40. Buckner and Garcia, that's right. I knew it was 2 names and I couldn't for the life of me remember the names. I got a pocket full of quarters and I'm heading to the arcade. What a stupid song, eh? Bloody embarrassing to listen to as an adult. Do 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 do. How many millennials, I wonder, are your target demographic? Yeah. So I'm a Gen X, just in case anyone is wondering. That is my specific classification in terms of when I was born. And when I was young, a youngster, and I started getting into computers, I was what was referred to at the time as a whiz kid. That's what they used to call youngsters that were growing up with computers. So, there's that whole idea that your kid's an expert on computers and your parents have no idea about them. That was kind of the concept of the whiz kid. Right. Well, that's all of the cleaned. On the border of Gen X and Millennials. Yep. I mean, I consider myself of a fairly fine vintage. Yes. God, I hope I've left myself enough time to get this finished. And I think I have. But I do believe that I may end up having to do some UV solder mask. Geez, I didn't leave myself much to grab hold of, did I? What an agent. I was looking for these tweezers the other day. I wonder where they were hiding. They're in my hand now. Fortran. Yes, I was the one that introduced computers to my household. My parents embraced them fully, don't get me wrong, but I was the one that actually infected the house with them. My dad ended up becoming the computer coordinator at the school he taught at. Stupid song. Stupid. Right, so I'm just going to have a look at this to see. Look, it's probably not a bad idea for me to put a little bit of UV solder mask on that exposed trace in the middle, although I do not believe that it is in a particularly high risk location, being right in the middle like that. It's all about doing a proper job. Proper job. Crap. What was the computer David Lightman used in War Games? Anyone know that? I've never seen War Games. Can you believe that? I need to see it sometime just for a little bit of nostalgia. It's just the thing is that a movie like that, I have to watch on my own. There's no way my wife's going to watch that. So I've got this big list of, only Bruce watches movies. Altair. I think I was maybe just a little bit too old when it came out. When did the movie come out? Does anyone know? It had Ferris Bueller in it, didn't it? What's his name? Matthew Broderick. IMSI 8080. Oh man, what would I give to own a bloody IMSI 8080? I mean, man, that would just be great. Or a Krememco, or of course the original Altair. Just what an awesome thing to have in the collection. Because there are replicas of these things being made these days. Very, very convincing replicas. There we go. I've fixed that up with my laser. Let's stick a cap on it. If it leaks, we recap it. 1983. Okay, well that was pretty young then still. So age wouldn't have been a thing. I don't know. I have no idea why I never ended up seeing that film. That was at a time when I used to watch a lot of movies. We had where we lived, there was a university nearby that did on the weekends. They used to run double features. So we could, parents used to just drop us off there, and they would play 2 films. Sometimes they were 2 current films. Sometimes it might be a current film and an older film. And we used to watch a lot of movies that way. I mean, I saw Jaws that way. I was bloody young. It scared the crap out of me. I think the thing that scared me the most is when he was underneath. Does anyone remember Jaws? You know when he was underneath the boat looking for it and the head pops out? Oh, far out, man. I squealed. But I mean, I was very young. Come on. I don't like the position it's in, but it doesn't want to go anywhere, so it's staying. Ali Sheedy, yep, I remember her. God, didn't she come and then go? So she was in War Games, she was in Breakfast Club, and she was in Short Circuit. And bugger me if I can think of another film she was in. Alright, how's this looking? That's looking pretty good there. I shan't need to do any UV mask there. All those traces looking capped. Intact. Intact. 16 candles. She wasn't in 16 candles. Molly Ringwald was in 16 candles, but I don't remember Ali Sheedy being in it. That had, what's his name? Paul and Joan Cusack in it. Giant 8-inch floppies. Apple One, no desire to own one. I can't afford one and can't do much with them. Yeah, well, look, it's a really interesting point you make there, and I'll tell you why. I have one of those reproduction Apple ones. What did they call them? What's that guy's name? I can't remember. But anyhow, it's one of the reproduction. It's not one that looks like the original. It's a much smaller board. The word's just on the tip of my tongue. And it has the ability to connect an ATX power supply to it, and you can connect a modern PS2 keyboard to it. And I built that as a kit. And look, it was fun building it. I love building kits. But when you get to the end of it and you've got, hey, look, I've got a working Apple One. And like, yeah, now what? I much prefer to have an Apple II. I mean, Apple II, there's this plethora of games you can play. You've got colour. It's much, much better to go with an Apple II if you're looking for a bit of nostalgic, fun computer use. I have an Apple IIe, courtesy of Rudy, who sent one to me out of the kindness of his heart. That was very, very nice of him. And I have a 2C. I've actually got two 2Cs. One doesn't work and one does. And I also had the little green ET monitor for the 2C, and I've got a colour monitor for the 2C as well, and that also works, of course, on the 2E. And that's it. I'm fine with that. I don't need any more. My chicken just said hello. Does anyone remember the name of the company that makes those repro Apple? To Steve would know. Steve remembers those sorts of things. Please fix the 2C. Yeah, okay, one day. It needs a lot of chips. I need to buy a whole bunch of chips first. And I'll probably do it in a live stream so that Apple II people can help me, because I don't know shit about them. I mean, I know how to use them, but I don't know much about the workings and the mechanics of them. I much prefer to repair a Macintosh. That's my experience. I was so close to fixing it a year ago. Wow. Was I? Was I really? Okay, just got to reply to the wife again. Looks like my lunch has been pushed back a little bit, so... Do, I can smell burning plastic, and I'm not sure what's burning. Yes, I can hear my chooks too. Shush! It's one. It's one. It's a big Australorp, and she is so noisy. Justin fixed my 2C. He still has my original logic board. So the 2C that I got that wasn't working was always not working. And then in my attempt to fix it, I not worked it even more by sending, was it 12 volts down the 5 volt rail, something like that. So it actually works even less than it did when I first got it. But having said that, it is repairable. It just needs the right replacements. And of course I've got another 2C that I can swap components across until I find out which one's the dead one. RC658. Let me look it up. Breel? Is that right? BREIL? BREIL Apple 2. Oh, Apple 1, sorry. Apple 1. 1. Breel. Is it Breel? I don't know, maybe not Breel. Breel. We had the conversation a few months ago. There you go. So yeah, it's the Breel. It's the Breel one that I have. Oh, you know what I haven't done today?
Smash that like button.
Oh dear. Carthor, hello there. My apologies, I have a runny nose. So to anyone who is joining and you're like, wow, he's all blocked up. Yeah, it's allergies or something. I don't think I have a cold or anything. I feel fine, and I was fine yesterday. I just did sniffles this morning. Right, now this one here looks pretty good too. I don't think I'm going to need to use it any... Ooh, I tell a lie. I see a little bit of exposed copper. Probably not a bad idea to get some UV mask on this. Before you stick UV mask on, it is essential that you get the board clean. That's why I'm now wiping it with an isopropyl tissue. Isopropyl alcohol doused tissue. I'm wiping it so that we get all of the gunk off, so that when I put that UV mask on, it will stick properly. If you stick UV solder mask onto a board that has a bit of residual flux on it, it's just going to come off when you clean it. Simple as that. Sniffles. Sniffles. There we go. Right, now let's cure that. I don't know why it just popped into my head, but a funny line from the old TV series The Young Ones just popped into my head when Adrian Edmondson's character, Vivian, the punk guy, he had a special formula that would turn you into an axe-wielding homicidal maniac. And he said, it's practically a cure for not being a homicidal axe-wielding maniac. Don't ask me why that popped into my head then, but it did. And he found the best way of disguising his formula was to stick it in a Coca-Cola can. Max, hello there. This is your board. Working on your board. And I've been doing a stellar job. Just so that you know, in case you were concerned. I might have, you weren't watching and I was just cutting corners and stuff. Nuh-uh. Doing a proper job. Triple J, hello there. So just for anyone just joining recently, which a few people clearly have, just mention a couple of things. I am working on a Macintosh SE30, as mentioned. I have quite a few of them, courtesy of Max, that I need to recap. So it's probably what you'll be seeing in the next couple of live streams. You just see me working on SE30s. I have recently released a video on surface mount soldering. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, or please watch it, unless you have no interest, in which case don't watch it. I have a couple of reviews coming up. I have a review coming up for a soldering iron, which I have actually done this recapping job with, testing it out. And so far, it's performed quite well. I've really had no issue with it. If it was my only soldering iron, I'd be absolutely and totally perfectly fine with it. I may end up giving this one to Dana, because I don't actually need as many soldering irons as I have. And Dana from Dana Does Stuff was saying to me the other day that he needs to get himself a soldering iron. So I may end up saying, well, I've got more soldering irons than I need, so you can have this one. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I might end up falling in love with it and keeping it, but we'll just see. All right, let's get another cap on here. I don't have that many. I will always keep 3 soldering irons. My KSGER is my backup, and that's over there. And then I've got my TS100, and I basically keep that because I think it's cute. But I've got a knockoff Hacko, which I will probably never use again. And it's okay. It does the job. I used it for ages. Ages. And of course, the other review I'm going to be doing in the not too distant future is one for a little thermal camera. I know I did one for a thermal camera just recently, but this is a different type of thermal camera. This is one that connects to your phone. And I have to say, I only received it yesterday, but I am right at the moment in a state of extreme impressedness. I really... Hey! What are you doing to me? There we go. I'm going to have to get a bit more solder there. Because this capacitor is lifted up, it needs quite a lot of solder to fill that gap. It's lifted up because it's sitting on top of this UV mask. So this is the iron that I'm using, which is the Kai Wheats Ketso2. And that, of course, is a little funny joke for Jay from the House of Moth. Of course, Kets is a word in Dutch, a slang word in Dutch. And so every time I say Kets, he has a little bit of a giggle. Yeah. Is that a thermal camera who spoke to iPhone or Android? It is, you order the one to suit your phone. So the one that I have bought is an iPhone one. Of course, the next iPhone is probably going to have a USB-C connector, so then they will all be generic from that point on. But at this particular moment, the one that I have is an iPhone one, because the connector is built into the camera, the thermal camera. But it's just got the most incredible resolution and refresh rate. I have issues with it, which I will raise, and I think they're largely software ones. They might even fix it in the future, or they might change it. I won't say fix because it's not broken. It's just there are a few things that don't work the way I think would be best. I can't remember what the cap is, the little cap that I took off. I think it's a 1 microfarad 50, but I just want to be sure. To be sure. That's an SE. Don't want that. No. There we go. SE30. Yep, 1 microfarad 50 volt. I was right. Might be rare here, but I've never soldered. No, it's not actually. I have quite a few people that watch that have never soldered, and that's fine. I mean, you know, I don't know if you watch this because you have an interest in soldering, or you watch this because of my incredibly electric personality. just keep saying it to myself. Keep saying it to myself. Keep saying it to myself. I might believe it. I'm going to have to clean this off because this definitely needs some UV mask on here, and it's a little bit grubby. I know it's 25 minutes now. I have just got a little message from my wife that she has been delayed, so I've probably got a little bit of extra time. So I definitely think we'll be able to get this fixed, and we might even get a chance to fire him up. Her? Up? I don't know. What gender is an SE30? Does anyone know? Have to ask a French person, because they have to have a gender for everything. I need Francois Revaux, who is, I don't think, here tonight, but he often turns up, and he's a French person. Français? Right, let's get a little bit of mask on this. I come here for the soldering ASMR. Well, today you came here for Sniffles ASMR. Thank you for that, Jay, putting that in there, the recap Mac thing. Sexy, so definitely female. Don't we have to ask the board? Yeah, this is probably true. We need to actually say that. Anyone seen any good movies? I'm on the lookout at the moment. I'm probably going to try that Dial of Destiny thing, just so that I can say I've seen it. I watched The Pope's Exorcist the other day with Russell Crowe, and I have to confess I didn't mind it. It's not great, but I enjoyed it. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as well, and there's some fairly major reservations with that one, but I still enjoyed it. Watched it to the end and everything. Felt like it had a few plot holes, and I also felt like it was pretty heavy. You know? Guardians of the Galaxy is meant to be a bit more lighthearted, and I felt like there were aspects of the plot that were pretty bloody heavy. You know, concepts of torture and stuff like that, you know, which I sort of thought, no. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is alright. I mean, look, the first one is the best. There's no doubt about that. First Guardians of the Galaxy was really good fun. The second one's watchable. God, I can hear a wasp or something. Or a fly or a bee or something stuck in a spider's web. This is a lot of mask. Jeez, I wish the sun was out. I'd just go out and dry it with the sun. But there's a pretty major cloud cover. Oh no, there's sun. Because look at all this mask. It's going to take me freaking forever to dry this. Freaking forever. Alright, I think we're good. I think that's all the danger zones covered. I went to the danger zone. Kandahar the other night with a mate. If you like modern war movies, I think you'll enjoy it. Kind of like Zero Dark 30, but maybe a bit more action. Okay. Extraction 2 were fun. Yes, I agree with that. I like those. Archive 81. Yes, I have seen Archive 81. There's a bit of a story behind that Archive 81. But yes, I loved Archive 81. I thought that was fantastic. It's a shame that it didn't get picked up for a second series. But yeah, it was. There was some major creepiness in Archive 81. I really liked it. You know, you just didn't know what was real and what wasn't. It was fantastic. Highly recommend that one. Dial of Destiny was a solid adventure, miles better than the last crap one, the Crystal Numbskull. Where's Mission Alf? What the hell is that? New Star Wars series is pretty good. Oh, okay, yep, no worries. I don't have the service to watch that, unfortunately. I don't have Disney, so. Will those case traces be CAD generated? Yeah, I would think so. There was a time when I was doing a sort of a live stream. It's sort of more of just a chat thing, and I'd had a few drinks, and I said Archive 81, and it came out kind of a bit jumbled up. And when I said it, Dana was there. He's like, "What did you just say?" I'd really love to see Oppenheimer as well. I'm very keen to see that one, but I think they're going to hang on to that one on theatrical for as long as possible because it's doing so well. Where do I get that material from? Altronics J-Car. Which material? Oh, you talking about the solder mask, the green stuff that I'm playing with here now? I just picked that up off either eBay or what do you call it? eBay or Amazon. Now, you know what? J-Car or Altronics may have it. I'll have a look, but I don't think they do. I'll check. J-A-I-K-R. Mask. Okay, no. What about UV mask? UV mask. Nope, they have a little UV light though. That's kind of cool. Oh wow, look at this. They got this quite powerful. I'm going to get one of these. It's $43.95. I'm going to go buy one today. Monocure 3D UV curing light with 18650 battery. I'm going to get one of those for sure. With the battery, rechargeable. I like it. I don't see the mask though. No, I don't think they have the mask. You could ask Apple's Anonymous if they have it at Altronics. Is there a clear solder mask? Well, not that I know of. You can get it in lots of colours. You can get it in yellow and red and black and stuff. But you can get clear conformal coating. I've got some of that floating around here. You can actually use clear nail polish if you want. But this is the clear conformal coating that I have here. I will just quickly switch to a different camera view. This is it here. You can see it's almost like a nail polish bottle, and it's this really viscous goop. The downside to using this is it takes a bit of time to dry it. Whereas the UV mask, of course, you just cure it with UV light. Makes life a lot easier for everyone. Just going to put a UV light on this for a second. Rather than me hitting it with the, what do you call that thing, the laser. I'll just sit here for a minute or two and then I'll get back to it with the laser. Wish there was an equivalent to J-Car here in the USA. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do without J-Car. I mean, especially seeing as I live so close to one. I do that as my exercise some days. It's like, oh, do I need anything for J-Car? Oh yeah, I need a bit more mask, or I need a bit more 3D filament, or I need a bit more, not mask, bloody wick, solder wick. They sell the solder wick there. Or I got to get some wire or a plug or whatever, and I just walk up there and grab it, and I take a little backpack with me and then just walk back with it. It's about a round trip to walk there is about 2.5 Ks, something like that. So it's about 1.25 K each way. pretty easy walk, you know. So, and I'd be stuffed without them. And then there's Ultronics as well, which I like. I really like Ultronics. Which is sort of like they're like JCar's competitor, mind you. You could be forgiven for thinking they're the same company because they carry a lot of the same stuff. And the closest one to me is it's probably about a 20-minute drive, something like that. So, needless to say, the one that's just up the road gets most of my business. They all know me in there. I just walk in and it's like, Bruce! Because I'm in there all the friggin' time. It's like Norm walking into Cheers. Hello to Ergt Uyop. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but anyhow, I'm just going phonetic, so sorry about that. Computer says, no, we don't sell solder mask. Yeah. So look, just look out for it on Amazon. Look out for it on eBay. They're probably going to be coming from China, but they are. And just keep in mind also that if you go with some of the dark colours, they often take longer to cure. So things like the green or the lighter coloured ones. I go with green because it matches the colour of most of the boards I work on. But if you, for example, wanted to go with a black one, to go with a black board, working on a black board like, say, a Quadro 840 AV, those black ones do take longer to cure. So just be aware. Very close to Ultronics and 600 metres to JCar. There you go. That is close. Locally is Radio Shack franchisee that buys stuff online and quadruples the price. Okay, fair enough. One of the things that I do like about JCar is that they've done quite a good job of sort of diversifying. A lot of those companies that were only selling electronics components, they didn't do well because those parts, they're fiddly to stock because there are so many of them and there's not that much markup on them and all that. But what they've done, they do all sorts of stuff now. So they've got stuff for car hi-fis and things like that. So if you're wanting to vamp up your sort of your car audio system, they've got stuff for office, like mice and things like that, and they've got kits and stuff for kids. They've got lots of toys, like educational style toys, and that's really, really good. It's a great place to visit at Christmas time if you're having to buy for kids and you've got no ideas what to get them. And they sell plugs, loads and loads of plugs and cables and adapters and stuff. So, for example, I need to go there and buy a US to Australian adapter. And they stock those. I'm going to just go and grab them there. They sell power supplies, the brick power supplies, or more fancy power supplies. Handy. Dave there. Hello, Dave. Dave, I have done this recapping with the Kaiweets Kets 02. I just thought that might interest you because I have one of these. Is Ultronics in Australia? It is. Hi Bruce, working on my SE30. You and me the same, except that this isn't mine. Okay, Urgit Weop? Urgit Weop? It's the cat's name. Okay. Urgit Weop. Urgit Weop. Okay, cool. I watched your review, Dave. I have a few reservations with the device. I feel like there are a couple of things that could be better, but in terms of its ability to solder, it's perfectly fine. So that will be in my review as well. All right, let's see if this is cured now. I've had that on there for long enough. I can finish it off with the finish it off with the you know what I should have done? I should have painted this at the same time. Never mind. Bruce is allowed to be stupid from time to time. Oh, have I lost the scope again? No. There we go. I've had a little bit of trouble with my scope view today. Regular bulb or LED bulb? Thai chicken curry is calling me. Oh, got to get into that. Yum. Regular bulb or LED bulb? Are you talking about the UV light that I just had? It's an LED. I'm going to get another one. I've been really happy with that one, and they have a more powerful one. So I want to get the more powerful one. I've got to do a repair to my other UV laser. I've got another UV laser which is a little bit more powerful than this one. But one of the plugs, the cables has come disconnected from it. I've got to fix that up. And I need to ideally try and find some way of having it on there more permanently so it doesn't keep coming off. Because it's one that's supposed to take a battery, but I have rigged it up so that it goes straight to my power supply. Alright, let's hit this with a little hot air as well, just to seal the deal. There we go. Oh, okay. So we've got. I grabbed the cap. Where did I put it? I went and grabbed that cap, but I have been so distracted. I am willing to wager that the little capacitor fairies have come and taken it. Might have to grab another one. Wasteful, wasteful, wasteful. All right. Let's grab a little caparoonie here. Oh, wrong one. 1 microfarad 50. That's what I want. I nearly stuck a 10 microfarad on there. Wouldn't that have made me look a fool? How am I doing for time? Oh, jeez. I've got to hurry. If we want to test this, I've got to hurry. Put more on. Come on. Don't be shy. Don't point the laser at the camera. Yes, this is very true. 3 hours and one way to get an electronics component store. That sucks. But of course, we do have the ability to order things online these days. Makes life a lot easier. But, you know, having JCar up the road does help with the I want it now situation. Now, this didn't go to sleep that whole time it was sitting there by the looks of it. So I have to find out why not. And obviously some settings I need to investigate there. Because that whole time, all that UV mask, it was sitting there at 420 volts. So I have to check that out. Find out what I'm doing wrong. 420 degrees Celsius, not volts. Use your brain, man. Equivalent series resistance. Do you ever measure in-circuit equivalent resistance of the caps to avoid having to replace them? Yes, I do, but not with something like this. With something like this, these caps, most of them are leaking. The seals have gone on them and the liquid is coming out of them. And of course the electrolyte that comes out is extremely corrosive. So I don't even really need with these to test them. I can actually just see from looking at them that these caps need to be replaced. If I was working on, say, for example, a more modern power supply or something that wasn't working, depending, of course, when it's made, if it was a product that was made during the time of the capacitor plague, which was around the late 90s, early 2000s, that sort of time, I would probably just replace the caps anyway, because we know that they're not going to have the sort of lifespan that they're supposed to have. But most of the stuff that I work on is of a vintage where it's, let's call it future-proofing. It's probably a good idea to replace the caps even if they're testing in spec. There's a good example on this one. This particular board has 2 axial electrolytic caps, which I am going to replace. And they, I'm sure, would still be testing fine. But while I'm here replacing all the others for a computer that's 30 years old, I really don't see any harm in replacing the caps, even if they are still still functional. I do have an LCR meter, which I very rarely use, and that does have to do with what I work on. If I was doing more diagnostics of probably more modern equipment, where you know that there's, 90% of what is in there is still working, there's just one component that's giving us grief, then I would definitely be using it for that. But with a lot of the stuff that I work on, because of its age, it's like, yep, just everything comes out and gets replaced. Poor old Dick Smith. Well, no, he's not that poor. I mean, the company is poor, but yeah, Dick Smith did well. He sold it and made a fortune. Yes. Selling less and less components and more customer stuff like Dick Smith has done. Yeah, look, the one near me still has a lot of components. I've actually got 2 or 3 of them that are not too far away. I could drive to if I didn't have the one that's insanely close. It's one of the things that I really like about living at this location. There are a few things that I don't like about living at this location, but my proximity to, well, all sorts of places, car mechanics, warehouses, J-car, what else? Places where you can get your tyres done, there's a computer that I'd like to add to my collection from Dick Smith. Which one? I would like to know, because I have 2 computers that came from Dick Smith. And I would like to know which one you want. I think I probably know which one you want. It's one that I'm after as well. But they're bloody expensive nowadays. Excuse me. Funway into electronics, yeah. I miss those too. Them's were the day when I was young. Probably still have a few of those books floating around somewhere. The worst thing was when you bought the kit and then you found out you needed the book to build it. It's like, crap. I'm glad I got this extra time because, Oh, VZ200 and VZ300. They're the ones that I have. So the one that's getting really hard to find is one called a System 80. I think it's called a System 80. And it's got timber finish on the sides. I love computers that have a timber finish. I'd really love to get one of those, but they are getting stupid expensive because they are that little snapshot of history. But yeah, I have both a VZ200 and a VZ300. The VZ200 was my very first computer. And it had rubber keys. It didn't have proper keys. But the VZ300 had proper keys. But the first one had rubber keys. Had no backspace, so if you wanted to go backward, you had to press Control backwards or something like that. Control left arrow. It had low graphics mode. Hang on, sneeze coming. In low graphics mode, I think it had like 8 colors. And then in high graphics mode, it had 4 colors, but you could only see... Well, I know it had 8 colors, but you could only see 4 colors at a time. You had to change into different color modes. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. That's not fine. And it's also worth mentioning that the VZ... I know it is lunchtime, but I've got a little reprieve. I've got a little bit of extra time. My wife contacted me and said she has been delayed, so I do not need to rush, so I'm not going to rush. So the VZ200 and VZ300 were essentially copies of a computer called a Laser 200 and a Laser 300. They were just the same product with a slight change in the ROM and rebadged. I think the only difference is I think the original Laser 200 was a black and white computer, and then the VZ200 actually modified it to add colour. But I did all of my earliest program. I learned how to program on that computer, self-taught. Them's were the days. Yes, thank you. Thank you to everyone who's keeping me alert on the time situation. I am going to be finishing very soon. What I'll probably do is test this before sticking the axial caps in, because this will run without the axial caps quite happily. And then I'll probably then finish up, and then I'll put the axial caps in a little bit later. The main thing is I just don't like doing a whole bloody recap and then not giving you guys an opportunity to see the end result, firing it up, seeing if it works. I'm feeling pretty confident about this one. I haven't really seen anything on it that I would say is going to lead to it not working. So I think it'll just fire up. Definitely need to clean up that. Look at it. Look at it. It's awful. I'll clean up that before putting it in the ultrasonic. Yes, I love the 8-bit systems from the 80s as well. 8-bit micros. 80s micros, sorry. Yeah. I'm probably going to get a text message at some time saying, I'm finished, head over, and then I'll have to sort of wrap things up. I'm bloody hungry, I can tell you that. But I have to have a healthy lunch today because I'm having a naughty dinner. Tandy Cocoa. Cocoa 1. I mean, the main reason why I got the VZ200 was because I was getting a real interest in computers at school. We had micro B computers at school. And, of course, a friend of mine also had a computer. And I was really getting into it in a big way. And I was like, oh, can I get a computer? Can I get a computer? Can I get a computer? And Dick Smith had this deal, this special price on the VZ200. And I can't remember what it was. It was, I don't know, $100 or $150 or $200. I can't remember. You know, it wasn't super expensive. I mean, it was expensive at the time. It was a big thing. But my parents knew that they were buying me something that was going to be a long-term thing, potentially. Because everyone knew the writing was on the wall with computers back then. Just going to blow my nose. Unpleasant. What's for dinner? I'm going out for dinner tonight. I'm going to a Malaysian food festival. Technically, it's referred to as the Paddy's Night Markets. For anyone in Sydney aware of Paddy's Markets at Flemington, they do an occasional night markets thing where they open the markets up at night and they get a whole bunch of food stalls in, and they'll often sometimes get some entertainment and maybe some, you know, car clubs to bring their cars along as well. And tonight it is a Malaysian theme, and they're going to have a whole series of Malaysian food trucks there. And which I love Malaysian food. I mean, I just love Malaysian food. And so, yeah, that's dinner tonight. Unless, of course, I get ridiculously lazy. There is a possibility that I will get ridiculously lazy, and around about 5 o'clock I'll say, I cannot be stuffed driving all the way to Flemington. And then I'll be having a leftover Malaysian curry that I made a couple of weeks ago with some coconut rice. Yes. Which, either option is great, in my opinion, because the Malaysian curry I made is freaking beautiful. Caps. Where did I put the caps? Up here. I love food stores. I love street food, basically. It's just one of my favourite things is eating street food. And it's not always perfect. Sometimes you get some bad stuff, but, you know, sometimes it's not as good as you hope it's going to be. But, yeah, I mean, food trucks, yeah. There's actually a... okay, cool. I'm going to have to finish up. I'll just let me... Righty. Mac 84. What? I'm done soldering my PowerBook 100 now. Let's see if it works. Okay. Well, so what are you going to stream when I finish my stream, and you take over, Steve? What are you going to be showing the people? Really put him on the spot there, didn't I? These are the last 3 caps that I'm going to put on before testing. As I say, I've got these axials that I need to do as well, but they are not essential for the computer starting. In actual fact, every single one of these caps that I'm putting on now, if I did not put them on, the computer would still fire up if it was in working order. What we wouldn't have, though, is we wouldn't have sound. These caps are necessary, some of them are necessary, for sound. The others serve a largely filtration style purpose, and so they can you can be okay without them on there. You know, one of the things I do like about this soldering iron, it's got nothing to do with the soldering iron. I really love the new tip on it. The tip that I've got on my other one is really old. I mean, I always keep a spare as soon as it actually. What often happens to them is these tips. These tips are hollow inside this thing here, and what ends up happening is I usually wear out the flat part. I wear out the flat part until it sort of goes through, and it's when they go like that, I then replace them. Or if sometimes I push down too hard, I snap them in half. So that's why I always keep a spare. All right, so that is a full complement of replaced surface mount electrolytic caps. They are now tantalum replacements. And we can change cameras here. Unfortunately, this camera doesn't seem to be working today for some reason. I didn't have it plugged in the last few times. Today I actually plugged it in, and about 5 minutes before the live stream, and it didn't come on. And I don't know why. So I've got to try and investigate. Maybe I've stuffed something up of reversed the polarity of the power supply or something like that. I'll have to test it out. So here is the finished board with our new caps on there. Quick little check of the work that I've done. Checking to see that the polarity is correct. Polarity. That's looking good. That's looking good. Yep, all good. As I say, there's only 2 types of caps on this one here. We've got 45 microfarad 16 volt, and then we've got one microfarad 50 volt just sitting up there. Very, very common with these when they do get leaky caps that you end up getting corrosion along here that can give you all sorts of problems. The computer not starting, problems with the image, all that sort of stuff. You've got VRAM chips here. They can also sometimes fail. But I'm getting pretty good at seeing the problem and going, oh, I know what that problem is. Are they horseshoe tips? These are bevel tips. Okay. What's the long weekend in aid of? Done 2 days in a row, thanks. Steve needs a break. Fair enough. So what's the long weekend? I noticed that Steve's saying something about it being a holiday weekend. What's it in aid of over there? What are you celebrating that you're all getting an extra day? I ask you. This is my extender cable that I made, which allows me to test out these remotely. I should stick some RAM and ROM in it first, shouldn't I? Labor Day. We have a Labor Day holiday as well, but it is not this weekend. See, I don't think it is. I usually know when there's a holiday. Usually. We do not make any political discussions or mentions of political stuff in this live stream, Nick. So, call that a warning. Okay, so let's give this a whirl. Now, I'll probably go to the front camera for this one because I think then you can see the screen. I'll bend it down a little bit. There we go. And then I shall plug in. What have I done? Oh, there's something shoved in here. What is that? Holy crap, what is that? Something shoved in. I was never going to get that in while that was there. Right, so there's the board. If we want to see if it chimes, I'll get a speaker. And I'll plug that in here. Whoopsie. There we go. I'll see if I can perch this speaker up so that you guys will actually be able to hear it. There we go. Okay. Are you having a show car at the event tonight? No. My car needs some love at the moment. I've been spending so much time doing other stuff that my sort of 1970 Dodge Phoenix, it still works, but it needs it clean. It needs some TLC. It's pretty sad, but I've just had very, very different life priorities going on at the moment, so I just haven't been able to do anything. So anyhow, I'm actually planning to see if I can get my car club to come along to it sometime. Paddy's, Sydney Markets, they're actually a client of mine, and so I'm going to probably see if I can get some sort of special treatment for my car club if they go along sometime. Garbage time. Don't know that one. Did I fabricate that logic board cable myself? Yes, I did. So essentially what I did was I bought an ATX cable, right? I'll tell you, this is the whole full story. I bought an ATX extender cable like this, right? And then I cut off the part that I don't need, because when you're plugging into this, you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You only need 14 of the holes. You don't need all the whole lot. So I cut side off, so I did that. But with this, these wires are absolute crap. So I went and bought decent wires, and then I crimped the little plugs on myself and made it a little bit longer and made my own extender cable. And it's a good, yes, it's very good, yes. All right, so we're going to give this a try. We ready to test it? 3, 2, 7. We got a sad Mac chime, which is, look, all in all, that's a good thing. It may not seem like a good thing, but when you're getting a sad Mac chime, you know that you're talking to the ROM. So you know that you've got your, it gets that sound from the ROM. So that's kind of good. It could be, oh my God. You ready to see something ridiculous? I'm pretty sure I have just done something. Oh no, it's all right. I thought I did something really stupid, but I didn't. I mean, I am stupid. Steve just sent me a picture of something. I can't make it out properly on my watch. Okay, so this could actually be a problem with the RAM. We've got two different types of RAM in here. It could be something else. Let me see if I'll just see if I can find some other RAM. I think I have some other RAM around here somewhere. Black Benny, RAM and Lamb. You guys ever seen this? Whoa, this RAM? Is this stuff here? Oh, crap, I'm just dropping everything. This stuff? I've got a few of these. I should have grabbed some of the 4 megabytes that I made up. I've got a whole stack of those. What have we got here? Let's try some different RAM. Should always try a different RAM first. That's always the first order of the day. I'm going to steal it from this SE30 here. Because this is a known working board. Canon. Sorry about the view of my rear. I do apologise. Ain't nobody got time for that. Alrighty. So we'll just try a different RAM. If we get the SADMAC chime again, the next step will be I'll give this an ultrasonic clean. There are all sorts of things that could be causing problems with this, but taking an SE30 from SADMAC chime to working is a pretty straightforward job. I've really got no issue with that at all. So whatever it happens to be, if it happens to be some of the RAM MUX chips, or if it happens to be an address line or something like that, it's all, we've got good schematics for the SE30. I know them pretty darn well. I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to get it working without too much headache. It could just be an ultrasonic clean. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. You sent me a photo. Is this photo important for me to look at now, Steve? I'll have a look at it. I'll have a look at it. Because my first tantalum cap exploded. Oh. Now, was that... Oh, wow. That's one of the originals? Is that one you replaced? Did you put the wrong one on or something? I've only ever had one tantalum cap explode, and that was that one on that 2FX board. And that was an old tantalum cap. And it kind of scared me a bit. Because sparks literally went towards my face. That was a bit frightening. Right, let's try it again now. We've got some different RAM in here. Ready, steady, spaghetti. No, still getting the SADMAC chime. It could still be the RAM. It could be something else. It could be the ROM. You know what I should do? I'll stick a different ROM in here. Here we go. The Rominator. Wow, wow, wow. One I replaced. Wow, that's weird. And definitely the polarity looked right based on what I saw. Oh no, I tell a lie. I blew up another cap too, and I'll tell you why. I was replacing a tantalum cap on a device, an old device, and here's the thing. The original had the stripe on the negative side, not the positive side. So when I actually put the replacement in, I put it on the wrong polarity and I blew that up. Okay, so I'm putting in a Rominator. Sometimes that lets you through. It doesn't do as harsh RAM test. Well, I got the chime from it, that stupid little Rominator chime, but I'm not getting any further. So I think we've still got some trouble. Some trouble here. We've got some trouble. Check the pin headers on the power port. You reckon they might be bad? I don't know. I if I was having... I mean, I will check, because I will. But if I was having that issue... Oh, man, I left my thingy upstairs. You know the cool little thing from K-Mac Vintage with the test the power supply? Crap. What good is it up there? James Roberts KA9TII, is that right? What about the soldering iron? Was it good? Yeah, on the whole, I have a few issues with it. First of all, it has not gone to sleep once. It's still fired up at 420 degrees C. Now, I don't. These are meant to detect when they're not being used and put themselves to sleep, and it hasn't done that. So I need to check the stuff. Okay, so quick recap on the SE30. So the SE30 has been recapped. Just fired it up, getting a bad memory chime with the ROM. So, getting a sad Mac chime. Then I tried with the big mess of wires, which chimed but didn't get any further than that. What am I going to do next? The very next thing I'm going to do is ultrasonically clean it, because, this does have a lot of crust on it. Then, if I'm still getting a sad Mac chime after that, I will try some RAM that I absolutely know is good. And in other words, I'll actually get another SE30 board, put that RAM in it, and then start it, see that it works, and then swap the RAM over. I'll do that. And then, so then when I can totally rule out the RAM, the next thing I'll do is inspect a particular area of this board. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to inspect very closely around this area here. There, around that area there. So these are the RAM mux chips here. These ones there. I've got replacements for all of these, so I can replace them if I need to. And I'm just going to check and see if there are any trace damage around there or anything like that. And then, of course, the other thing I can do is I can, if I don't see any problems there, I can potentially just look at replacing them. I would just do the ones for Bank A first, for these 4, and then see how we go. Then put some RAM in Bank B and try that as well. And then, of course, the other thing I can do is I can go and do the address lines, check the address lines, going to the RAM and check that out. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to be doing it now because I have a lunch date. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do my normal wrap-up thing, and I'm going to... that was obviously the wrap-up of what's happened here today. And then obviously I'll just go to mention once again that I have been testing out this Kaiwet soldering iron. Soldered perfectly well, but I need to investigate a few things. I do have some very specific opinions about this. There are things that I like about it, things I don't like about it. So that's nope. Why do I press to switch it off? Anyone know? Nope, it's not that. Sneeze. Sneeze. Sorry, folks. Would have liked to have muted that. Okay, I've just switched it off. I've figured out how to switch it off. There's something. I could have just pulled the plug, couldn't I? Never mind. So yeah, I think Steve's done his streaming duty for now. For now. We will expect some in the future, though. So that's it. Yep, soldering iron quite good. Thermal camera reviews coming for these things, so look out for them. Don't forget about the t-shirts. Fun t-shirts, QWERTY, links in the description with the discount code. So if you're liking the silly t-shirts that I wear, QWERTY, check them out. Discount code. We all love discounts, don't we? Yes, we do. They're on Gildan shirts. We all know Gildan, they make good shirts. And they're machine washable, all these things there and everything. So, yeah. All right, thank you all very much for joining me today. I do appreciate you keeping me company during this and keeping the chat busy and happy and all that sort of stuff. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed the live stream today. I hope you have too. So, I am going to probably try and live stream again, maybe even this weekend, but I'll try again for next weekend. We'll see how we go. And yeah, thanks again. Hope to see you at the next one. So, bye-bye.